Maybe you can like fashion Hanfu, but sometimes your elder not know that. Your boss not know that.
When it's really fitting daily wear, people do not tell it.
Yeah.
People do not tell it's Hanfu.
Yes.
So I think it's a very myth that people think, oh, it is something very expensive, something you only wear it for ceremonial, but no, but you can wear it every day.
It really is only with the rise of China's stature and cultural self-confidence that we start seeing more and more people wearing Hanfu.
A lot of the Gen Zs are starting to wear Hanfu more and more in their daily life, going to a cafe, going to restaurants, and I feel like Hanfu is in good hands. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the China Popcast. I'm here with my co-host Wendell, and we are unpacking the culture and social trends that are influencing China and maybe even the world. And we have a packed show today, right Wendell?
We do, so let's just get straight into our guests.
Yes.
In studio today we have Chen Huiyi, a research analyst and Beijing-based Hanfu enthusiast, and Wang Zicheng or Sanhuai Mingche, an expert on men's Hanfu who has been active in Hanfu communities in the UK, Europe, and the US. And as you can see, we are not in our usual clothing today.
Yes, let's address the big elephant in the room.
What are we
the
wearing?
beautiful, colorful elephant in the room. We are not in our usual business clothes. I'm wearing Hanfu, and more specifically, I think the Song style, because for the first time, I'm wearing pants in Hanfu. This is called in Chinese Song Ku, or I think pants or trousers from the Song era.
Yeah.
And what about you, Huiyi? What are you wearing?
So I'm wearing a style from the early Tang Dynasty and specifically the Wuzhou period. So the period of Tang Dynasty under the rule of Wu Zetian, the only female emperor in Chinese history.
Yeah.
And so it features a short and narrow sleeve and short like a blouse and waist high skirt, and with this vest and sleeveless piece outside as also as a decoration.
And your hair is so nicely done as well.
Yeah, so between that period, so the makeup and hair tend to be very bold, and it's also because during the time, so as the female emperor, she appointed many female officials so female can legitimately enter like politics, governance. It's also a period I think represent a kind of feminine empowerment.
For sure. And Wendell, you want to start talking about your outfit today?
Well, over on this side, we're wearing men's Hanfu, and I am wearing the Tie Li from the Ming Dynasty. So as soon as I walked in today, the tech team looked at it and recognized it from the Ming Dynasty.
Nice.
So I think some people know when this is from. So it's from around about the 13, 14, and 1500s. The name comes from a Mongolian word, turlig, meaning pleated waist cut robe. So you can see there's two sections. There's an upper and a lower section, and the pleats start from about the waist.
Very good.
Yeah.
What about you,
And what are
Mingche?
you wearing for us today?
Yeah,
Mingche?
I think we share the same pattern. It's also the mang. It's just like a snake, and which is very similar like a dragon. And the dragon robe is for emperor. But for the mang, this kind of animal is for the high-level officials or just like a duke. But I think it's at the Ming Dynasty in the Wanli period, this cycle. And after, in the late Dynasty Ming, and I think it is a later period, and even the common people, if you are rich, you can also use this pattern. And but remember, not use dragon, you will be killed.
Wendell, I love how just with our outfit today, we already had so much to talk about, from the pattern, from snake to dragon, from the ancient feminine power in China and the hairpiece, and also the different colors, different makeup. I can think that each of us represent one dynasty. I'm Song and Tang.
And Ming.
Ming.
Also Ming.
Also Ming. So you can probably tell that our show today is talking everything about Hanfu and some controversy around the Hanfu community or promoting Hanfu overseas. However, let's bring it down to the very beginning. What is Hanfu? Mingche or Zicheng or Huiyi, who can tell us what is Hanfu exactly?
According to the too much of researchers, I think the past dress clothing for the Han people, which is the main ethnic in the past 5,000 years, and except Qing dynasty and Mongolia Yuan dynasty, yes, most of just like is the Han nationality ruled during this time. So in this period, people wear the main custom and dress is called Hanfu. Yeah.
Do you have anything to add, Huiyi?
I would say like nowadays, speaking of Hanfu, I think there's a process of research, like systematic research into the archaeological evidence, the relic pieces, and into the into the books, into the paintings, sculptures, to see what's the traditional aesthetics and how the garment look like at those different period, and trying to like remake in modern days, and maybe like with the modern textile technologies. So thanks to that, so those ones that were only affordable or accessible for the nobles are now like everybody can afford and buy it and try it on. And so I think there's a process like people trying to finding that kind of tradition and identity back.
So are there any misunderstandings or misconceptions about what Hanfu is? Is it clothing from a particular period, started in this year, ended in this year? For example, someone might wear qipao and be confused about whether that is Hanfu or not.
I think it's not, because qipao is just like after Qing dynasty even.
Right.
It's also just like influenced by the Manchu ethnic time. And for Hanfu, I think it's just like before that.
Right.
I think because a lot of overseas people can buy some qipao and tangzhuang even is a man jacket in the Chinatown, but it's not real Hanfu.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a term in Hanfu called 形制, which I would roughly translate as the structural form. So Hanfu need to, well, there can be like many different styles in different dynasties, but it have to follow a specific, like a correct structural form. So, because these styles could be very subjective to personal aesthetics, but from the structural form, you can tell it's correct or wrong, if it's Hanfu or if it's not.
Yeah, for people who might still feel a little confused, I want to add that when we talk about Hanfu, it's in the whole context of China, and China has 56 different ethnic groups.
Right.
So there are a lot of, for example, qipao, like Zicheng said, is influenced by Manchu aesthetic, and Manchu is one of the 56 ethnic groups in China, and Han is also one of the 56, and Hanfu is basically what Han people wear. Maybe people think, oh, well, China is one thing, and Man is what China wear, but China is very diverse. So just add that to the mist. And also, speaking of tangzhuang, there's the Adidas Tang jacket.
Tang jacket, yes.
Went so viral earlier this year.
So viral. What do you two think? Because you are very deep in the Hanfu culture and community.
Yes, I think Tang jacket is a modern clothes, and it's just like influenced by the. I think maybe Qing dynasty is very closer now, and most of people think maybe it's represent Chinese, and it's just use that time period the clothes to make tangzhuang.
They put the buttons from the tangzhuang like very abruptly onto the sportswear, and without any adaptation of the cutting of how the silhouette looks like. So I feel like it's a very abrupt kind of to put them together, and it's kind of like a very Orientalism, like a Western brand, like takes a symbolic kind of like element from a Chinese clothing piece that they think and just put it onto Western sportswear.
Yeah, it does feel a little surface level, but I wonder if you are not Chinese.
I'm not.
How do you think about when you saw the Adidas Tang jacket or any other type of adaptation by sort of commercial brands?
I did see it become quite popular in public and online. So walking around, particularly with foreigners in China as well, friends in South Africa as well, asking me about this jacket and how they can get it.
So you didn't buy any for them?
No, I'm not standing in line for an Adidas.
You didn't partake in the trend?
No, I didn't.
Foreigners or people from outside of China started to know China, maybe from the Qing era, because it's closer to modern tech time. Like we had the film, we had recording, we had photograph, but we don't have a time machine to go back to the Ming or the Song Dynasty. So that's up to our content creators or people who are warm to the history to promote it.
As you were speaking, I was just wondering, is there a way that in the future people can do this with a bit more tact?
We do have a lot of local Chinese brand adopting elements from Hanfu. It's just not well known on TikTok or not well known by the globe. When I was younger, I'm a millennial guy, so when I was younger growing up, I didn't see a lot of people wearing Hanfu on the streets. But now you can see people just proudly wear it in a park, going to a cafe, going shopping. But when did this whole thing start?
We have a different period. At first, it's start in 2000s.
2000.
Yes, because Hanfu is just like disappeared because of some political change in the Qing and Ming dynasties. So now these people want to make people Hanfu back, so they just research. And after that, I think the website just starts, the forum online. And for TikTok and for the website, I think they start through this social media just like to share and chat and make them know much. And after that, I think in 2010, the people just like have some foreign universities have some associations in Hanfu. They combine the Hanfu with some political scene or cultural scene to make just like Hanfu is a Chinese symbol, new symbol. After that, the people in China also know, oh, we should have some associations like that to show in our universities' activities. After that, 2015, marketers just like noticed about, oh, maybe we can just make more Chinese style Hanfu and make me easier to be found in the shop.
I love how like this story is a story of how people were reclaiming their culture clothes, but also combining with the revival of tech or the invention of tech like web, and taking us to the old days, the web forums, surfing the web, and then with web, and then afterwards the market picked it up and made it more widespread.
Many people actually got the first Hanfu experience when they are traveling. So that is really a burgeoning sector, and I think contributing a lot actually to the tourism sector and also the employment.
Yes.
I think that, and also when people when they get a photo and they post on social media, and this helps to further spread the trend.
I mean, in those scenarios, sometimes you have tourists and people from overseas that are not ethnically Chinese wearing Hanfu and dressing up, and there have been some debates online about cultural appropriation in Hanfu, and that happens around the world in any space where people who are wearing clothes from another culture. Do you think non-Chinese people wearing Hanfu is cultural appreciation, appropriation, or something more nuanced?
If you're just a foreigner and want to try Hanfu, and you know this Hanfu, and I think it's right. Just like, I think in Shanghai, now a lot of YouTubers from Korea and just want to try Chinese Hanfu and make up, take some pictures, and they also do some make some videos just like on YouTube. And they said, oh, this is Chinese style, and I'm try that. So I'm not think this just like, I think it's more like appreciation.
For me, I think cultural appropriation is a term that is from the Western culture, Western social context, where often refers to a dominant cultural group. There, they take a cultural element from a minority culture and use it, or sometimes without credit, or even distorted the actual cultural meaning, so taking that element only as decorative and away from its own cultural roots. I would say the bottom line is, as long as a foreigner wearing Hanfu gives general respect to the culture, and also gives the credit that this is Hanfu, not something else, and that is just a very friendly cultural communication.
Yes.
So Wanda, tell us again what you're wearing.
I'm wearing the Tie Li.
And do you feel
From
now?
the Ming Dynasty.
Do you feel now reassured that you can wear this?
I mean, I think in preparing for the show, I had a lot of conversations with myself and with other people.
Okay.
And fortunately also was educated a bit about what I am wearing today, and what was different people who wore it at the time in the Ming Dynasty, between commoners and people in official roles. So I feel a little bit, I feel a bit okay, I'm educated enough to give it a go.
And Zicheng, Huiyi, do we allow him wearing this?
Of course.
It's a hard yes.
And then you mentioned that like people, like ordinary people or official, they wear different clothing.
Yes.
But actually, what's very interesting about Ming Dynasty that like it's so when like an ordinary people, when they're having very important event like weddings. Like weddings, so they can legally wear something only allowed to wear by nobles. Yes. And there is the kind of clothes renting business. It's already exists during the Ming Dynasty.
Yes.
So people during when they want to wear it for special festivals, for very special events, they could go rent a very fascinating piece for a short period and return it back. So that kind of business already exists back in Ming Dynasty.
Oh wow!
I feel like that's sort of what we're doing today, because we've borrowed these for a while and we're going to return them.
There were a major sort of event in the Hanfu community, which was very spread from the social media across China about mamianqun, and I think Zicheng, you can talk about the whole incident. In short, it was a fashion brand, luxury fashion brand, advertising one of their garment of the season, and then the Hanfu community were furious. They were very angry. Why were they angry?
Because the luxury brand Dior just like a very high level brand in Chinese, and I think most people are just like that. But just like when they use Chinese things, but not just like credits, and they may just not respect your culture and make some Chinese markets just like different people feel just like, oh, why you do that? And we just like pay too much about your brand, buy some things, but you just like use one day you use our traditional skirt, but you not just like credit that. Because some people of my friends and just buy the Dior skirt, and they also have some collection, 200 years real mamianqun, and just like make a compress and find the structure is the same. So a lot of people just like feel, we should do something, make just Dior know. Just like when you use other fashion things, yes. So we just like give some activities during the time. It's about foreign universities or Hanfu associations. We just write some posts and just show the structure of antique, the painting in different museum, and also the real Dior skirt and the antiques to just show the people.
What was the response like?
I think feedback just like their worker know, this is the top thing. Top people know that we are not do that. We respect your culture and we can do something more. Just like we are owning the branch shops people and so they're not a designer.
I think because the international fashion industry has been dominated by the European brand. So, and some designer, I would say they could be very arrogant, and when they're using elements, they did not actually learn about the cultural context and backgrounds of that. And so I would definitely say there needs to be decolonization of the global fashion industry, so that these kind of behaviors should not be taking elements from other culture without proper credit and without understanding the cultural meaning behind it. I think it's something not right, and they could not do that for granted.
This instance make more people know the mamianqun. I think after that, people know, the mamianqun is just like a Chinese style things. In fact, our culture system, our Asian clothes, it's also the fashion things. It's just like a little conflict.
It's a little sort of like bittersweet, and it's very complex because for one thing, we always know that in our traditional culture, traditional medicine, traditional clothing, traditional music, it's like a treasure trove. So many things you can explore and dig out and revive. But at the same time, we needed some outside force to sort of give us an alarm that it's time, we have to protect this. But anything to do?
It sounds like it started off as something negative, but it put the spotlight on a community and a cultural group's clothing. So it might have had the opposite effect. Something might have been stolen, but now we have a spotlight on Hanfu. And a lot of that activity took place in London, and it also shows you that at that time, you and others were building Hanfu communities in different parts of the world, wherever you were. You took bits of your culture and built it over there, which helps us segue to our we have an online guest today in San Francisco. Jason is professionally a lawyer in the US and a member of the North California Hanfu Association and co-author of a book about Hanfu. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Welcome to China Popcast. What's it been like introducing Hanfu to people overseas?
And also, what are you wearing?
Yes, and what are you wearing?
It's basically called a Dior, which is a rather plain, directly translated as a straight robe. So mostly unadorned and doesn't really have a lot of structural complexity. I think when I wear Hanfu in San Francisco or just around the United States, you definitely get a lot of questions and a lot of friendly curiosity.
How often would you wear? Would you mainly use Hanfu for events, or you perhaps incorporating it in your day-to-day life while you're outside?
It's not uncommon that I would incorporate Hanfu elements into your everyday clothing, especially if it's like a cooler day. Sometimes you can use Hanfu like spun a little bit differently as like an outerwear.
What's your methodology when it comes to translating Hanfu?
I actually do not think there's really one right answer. You have to adjust to what the audience is, which in this case, our overarching goal was to introduce Hanfu to a wider audience, but also give those who are curious a little bit of depth. I did take somewhat of a hybrid approach in which I did prioritize keeping Chinese terminology for the actual articles of clothing. People who do want to learn about Hanfu, you want to respect that they're doing this, that they want to learn more.
Yes, I think just in this book have some just like very good symbol. And the first is just like Chinese, and then it's just a translate and introduction, and also have some how to Chinese spell that.
How is it like as a overseas Chinese trying to learn about Hanfu? And do you think it helps boosting some kind of confidence?
You see a lot of Chinese Americans interested in Hanfu as well, because perhaps they were not aware of Hanfu at first, or perhaps they never really thought critically about perhaps the C-dramas they watch. They never really gave it too much thought. So to see somebody wear it in the flesh is definitely an experience for them, and it encourages them to learn more about their own culture. And for many others, non-Chinese Americans, I do think the cultural side is coming out more and more. You see people watching cultivation donghua, reading manhua, and indulging in the short dramas on TikTok, which came from Douyin but end up on TikTok. So I think you see more and more people interested in these kind of things, and then we're very well positioned to sort of capitalize on that and share with them more about our culture.
You've participated in parades in Hanfu in San Francisco. What does it feel like to represent Chinese culture in those spaces?
Well, I mean, it feels really good, if I have to be honest. Like, I think people get really excited. Most of the times, people are used to the lion dancing and the martial arts and the floats, of course. Anecdotally, I think last year, 2025, I was dressed up as a commoner. I actually do tend to like dressing up as a commoner when I do Hanfu events, and I had I think a flower baskets, and I had to register the group for the parade, just regular procedure, but I had to wait for that to happen, so I was just standing around. So I did get a little bit bored, so I took out my phone and started chatting to somebody on the phone, and I did notice because I was kind of stationary and just talking on the phone and just full festive get up and flowers and everything. I did notice that quite a few people stopped to really see what I was wearing. Some of them even had sketchbooks, so they would stop, and I don't want to be too vain, but I think they were sketching. I think they were sketching me because there was nothing else around. It was a good feeling for people that people could really take that as an opportunity to learn and see something they don't normally see, and learn about something they don't normally learn about, and really deepen their knowledge and appreciation of Chinese culture.
That's quite fascinating, because this was already an existing Chinese cultural event in your city that didn't have a Hanfu element to it, and you guys only brought the clothing element to it in the last few years.
Obviously, Chinese Americans have a long history in San Francisco, but it's mostly a story that began in the early to mid 19th century. In other words, during the Qing dynasty. So we already had at that time the order for men to shave their foreheads, wear wear their hair in a queue and not wear hanfu at that time. So even given the long history of Chinese Americans in San Francisco, it hasn't really been a scene other than, I think, religious functions, theatrical functions, and it was limited mostly to those at that for most of San Francisco's history. It really is only with the rise of China's stature and cultural self-confidence that we start seeing more and more people wearing hanfu.
Before we let you go, we just want to give you an opportunity to talk about your future projects.
I think calming it down a bit, because the book was quite an endeavor, and kind of bringing it back to what we love to do in the first place, which is to engage with other people and sort of give ourselves more opportunities to educate others about Chinese culture.
I just want to thanks for this book. And yes, I find you are just like a translate editor. I'm a contribute for the cultural relics pictures.
When I'm preparing for this interview, so I want to look into on how to properly explain some of the style. Those provide really, really important references. So thank you very much, and a round of applause.
Round of applause for
Thank you,
Jason.
Jason.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, 谢谢. Thank you, Jason. So for you personally, how did you become a big fan and love for Hanfu?
It's a long story.
Long story short.
We can see.
Oh, sorry. I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
So I think I actually get into Hanfu, I think, quite later than Zicheng and Jason. So it's in late 2021, 2022.
Right.
So not that at the start of the revival movement. But I first know about Hanfu. So when I was doing my undergrad in Canada, so there is a society called Xingwen Societies. I think the name was derived from 论语. So it's by a group of Chinese students from the East Asia department. The East Asia Study Department. So they organize events to study the Chinese calligraphy or Confucius classics. And so it's a shame that I was so hectic with my coursework and my extracurricular activity time, so I didn't get a chance to really join the events in person. But I followed their social media account, and I saw members of the club wearing in Hanfu, and that's how I firstly saw it and also know about the terminology. So that was back in 2016, 2017. So I think during that period, so for myself, it's also collides with the time that when I'm trying to doing more reflections on my cultural identity as an international student overseas. So I would say as international students, so it's very common that you downplay your own cultural identity just trying to fit in. But I think it's very brave for them to be very vocal about the culture. And also at the time, because I was majoring in international relations for my bachelor, so at the time when I was studying, the whole academic theory is very European centric. And so at the time I think about, as Chinese, I know that the whole during those whole period in Europe, but at the same time, in China, China have very active diplomacy and trade relations with the neighboring countries, and so how come we don't find ourselves fit into the theory to the in global system? So I think that is how I started to reflect on the European centric kind of perspective and thinking about and as a Chinese, how should I got more emphasized into my own cultural identity. And that also brings into my career when I finished my postgrad study back in Beijing in 2020. So I start my work as a think tank researcher, and I still continue interaction exchanges with a lot of foreign counterparts. So because I'm very proud of my own Chinese identity and also with the trajectory our country goes through, I'm very passionate about explaining to foreigners about our culture, about the whole development trajectory we've been through. So yeah, and then I found I think I need something that has a visual carrier of this cultural identity. Then so it just came into a time when I just it's the winter of 2021. So and the first snowing day in Beijing every winter. It's something always go on the spot, always go on the headline. And the Forbidden City in a snowing day is an iconic scene in Beijing. So I came across a piece of advertisements from a photographer in my WeChat and saying that I'm working with a makeup studio in Wang near Forbidden City, and for a package where you can several hundreds, a reasonable price. You can rent a hanfu and someone do the hair and do the makeup for you, and you can go and do a photo shoot in Forbidden City. So that's my first real hanfu experience. I chose a Ming Dynasty style, like a long robe and a mamianqun, which is stunning, and I feel like it completely brings the art of part of myself out of it. So that's how I then starting to being really loving into it.
For you, definitely it's not just a piece of outfit, a piece of clothing. It's tied into the core of your cultural identity, which is very crucial and very important. Zicheng, your story with hanfu.
My major is about cultural heritage studies and cultural tourism. So when I was a child, I just like go to museum and see different cultural relics, and especially for the clothes. And I also like history. And when you find some books and they have very beautiful clothes, and you will imagine if someday I wear this, what it look like. Just like in primary school, I started to buy my first real hanfu following the right structure, and after that I just try to share this, what books I read and what kind of antiques I photograph, and what's my new hanfu. And I just start my social media accounts and just like, yes, thank you, my friend. Yes. Yes. And also just like I already traveled to maybe 30 countries with hanfu. And I think each time when I wear this hanfu, I can find a different attitude and also meet some new different countries people and get some new chance to know this culture.
You travel a bit for work.
Yeah.
And I've interacted with you at a China-Africa Expo in Changsha, where you had managed to incorporate African and hanfu items into a look. How do you do it?
Because I work in China-Africa Cooperation, so I go to the embassy events a lot. So in the invitation, sometimes I see formal clothing. The dress code is formal clothing and national attire. So and actually, thanks to my African friends, when I go to this event, I saw them like very proudly wear either the traditional clothes from African countries or even it's like a modern cut, but with like African prints, patterns. I was so inspired by that kind of confidence to show it out. So I feel like wearing hanfu, it's a subtle way to introduce it to people.
I'm just amazed at the cultural exchange in your suitcase, because packing for me already is a problem and I never know what to take.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not sure how you do it when you're traveling and you need to take your hanfu and you just sort of know what, I mean, do you spend a lot of time planning your outfits before you go? Or
I do.
Do you have a spreadsheet? How does
I do. So actually, before I travel, I look into, I have idea of where I travel to. I look into, this is more like nature. I go into the mountain, the sea, so I would pick some color place that maybe matches a more natural setting, or like if this place more like there's more ancient architecture that I might pick other styles. So I do planning beforehand. And also with the different dynasty as well. Well, with different dynasty, it might just go random depending on my mood and which I found more fit into and which dynasty may have more connection into that. So for example, last month I traveled to Egypt. So in Egypt, I was wearing similar to this one, like a Wuzhou, early Tang dynasty style, like in the pyramids. So because Egypt is the western terminus of the Silk Road, so being there, standing down the pyramids, I was and wearing hanfu, I was thinking, maybe a 1,000 years ago, a merchant from Tang Dynasty traveled to Egypt. We're gazing at the pyramids what I'm doing today. So at the time, I feel that kind of connection it carries through the whole all these centuries.
Mingche, I know that you also travel quite a bit as well in hanfu, and you've used it for cultural exchange, but. What are your ideas around wearing hanfu in everyday life? Is this something that you would try?
Yeah, talk to us about the menswear.
If you want to try hanfu easier in our daily life, so it's just not have this very beautiful pattern, and just the color and some cloud pattern is very normal. And you can say it's called anwen, which means some pattern not very light. And you can just use very simple, just use 树领对襟短衫. It's a kind of street color, and you can just it's very like a shirt, but it's like it's a Chinese Hanfu. Maybe you can like a fashion Hanfu, but sometimes your elder not know that. Your boss not know that.
When it's really fitting daily wear, people do not tell. People do not tell it's Hanfu.
Yes.
So I think it's a very myth that people think, oh, it is something very expensive, something you only wear it for ceremonial. But no, but you can wear it every day.
And can you wash it in the washing machine?
Yeah. Majority of my Hanfu, like thanks to the modern technologies, there are really some really good polyesters that you can throw into the washing machine, throw into the dryer with no problem. Some fabric like silk, you need to be more careful with that.
So now, after listening to all this, a lot of our overseas listeners and viewers may be very eager to try and get their own Hanfu pieces. Where can they buy it when they're overseas?
I think they can start use Taobao. It's run by Alibaba company, and you can also use Alipay and international credit card to buy that. So it's I think it's very convenient, but not buy some Hanfu in Amazon or just like Chinatown, because it's resold and maybe it's not real Hanfu. It's another fairy style, just like Chinese style making, but it's just like very cheap material. Yes.
Okay. So overseas Taobao.
Majority of Hanfu brands are on Taobao, but I think not all of them can do direct international shipping. So unfortunately, many people overseas, they have to still rely on a Chinese friend who, can you bring me a Hanfu piece when you're going back to China? I will mail it to your home, and or a kind of a parcel service that the shop delivers the Hanfu into a warehouse, and then they maybe you can deliver multiple parcel to there, and then they package it and ship it overseas.
So what is happening in Hanfu communities right now that outsiders might not know about? It sounds like, from the revival to now, it's not a very long history, but it's a community that's had maybe 10, 15 years to grow and develop. What's going on in the community right now?
I think compared to the past, it's about students association. Now the government and different culture and tourism ministry also involved to this, because people know that maybe the government officers know this may be a new trend, and it's meets the culture revival time period, and they just know more and they pay more attention to that.
Sometimes I see a little bit of a conflict within the Hanfu community, like people agreeing or not disagreeing with each other's understanding of Hanfu, or maybe take us into that.
Oh yeah.
There keep being debates which style is better.
Okay.
And which style is authentic.
Yes, and just when some style combine with other countries, just pattern, or just I think in Tang Dynasty, because it's international dynasty, so we have a lot of countries, people come here. So also the Silk Road also brings some other materials and to the China and also their countries close, and sometimes we combine together during that very long time, maybe 200 years, and create maybe develop into a new style and very popular in another dynasties. So this have some debates about this part.
There's debates around the structural form, because there are always new archaeological pieces being unearthed. So it's something that it's not static, but it keeps changing.
Yeah, definitely. I can see it's a very vibrant community, very active, and also I feel like this creativity and this culture heritage is not only a plus for China, but it could also be something that the whole world can come together and appreciate. Where do you think this Hanfu revival trend will lead? And also at the same time, what are your own personal projects in Hanfu in the coming future, Zicheng?
I imagine some days our Hanfu like kimono in Japan and hanbok in Korea. Yes, just we can use very normal in our daily life, and the elders things maybe all the older people may not think you are weird people, and it's very normal, and they not ask you whether you're Chinese, whether you are Korean, but just like think, oh, you wear hanfu and this is our traditional, yes.
And do you have any personal projects? I know you're very busy now
yes.
doing your own job.
Yes, I and some workers and leaders in different Hanfu associations abroad have a documentary, just like, introduce your personal life experience when you just like share Hanfu and what you can teach others people and who want to try Hanfu in other different regions. So I think this documentary will be very useful for them.
Thank you. And Huiyi?
My company, so we have a program called the Africa Reimagine. So we bring the African fashion brands into Chinese market, support them to attend expos, and that's when we met. And also to like events like Shanghai Fashion Week. So I think from there, because those African designers, they intentionally use the traditional patterns, traditional cutting, and traditional weaving textile techniques into their own designs, and many of them have already been very successul on international fashion events. We already have a big industry, and we have so many Hanfu brands. I really hope one day in the near future, not so far, that there will be some very talented Chinese designers to bringing Hanfu design really onto the international fashion stage.
Thank you for joining us, Huiyi and Mingche. I think I've definitely learned quite a bit today about Hanfu. The timeline, the revival of it, the difference between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation. So I'm in a much better place. Thank you to both of you. What have you learned, Lucy?
My learning is in the Hanfu overseas. I think with what Jason spoke with us, there's a lot more that we can dig into. Maybe we could do like a Hanfu part 2 about how Hanfu is helping overseas Chinese sort of reunite and rediscover their own cultural identity, like how both of Zicheng and what Huiyi said really touched me in a way that not just themselves, you guys I can see the excitement in your eyes and hear it from your voice when you are so proud of Hanfu, taking it to different places. And I just feel like now a lot of the Gen Zs are starting to wear Hanfu more and more in their daily life, going to a cafe, going to restaurants, and I feel like Hanfu is in good hands. And also I want to tell the audiences that I'm really happy that we're ending with the Hanfu episode, because this is my last episode in a while. For now,
yes.
With China Popcast. Wendell and I last year started the China Popcast video podcast series in the hope that there's a space that is regular where we can talk about what Gen Zs are doing in China, what are the popping trends in China, and what are the social discourse in China. And I think we've gone through a short vertical drama. We talked about La Bubu. We talked
TCM.
about traditional Chinese medicine and people using AI to make music in China. And now we are ending with full of us sitting here with the beautiful Hanfu garment. So I think it's a very nice sort of semi or temporary closing for my time at China Popcast. And I am someone who's very proud of my Chinese roots, and I see it as also something on my shoulder to promote Chinese culture overseas. So I do also have my own social media. So even though my journey with China Popcast ends for now for a little bit, but my whole journey with promoting Chinese culture will not end. And you might see me having my own expedition. Maybe I'll go to the Egypt, I'll go to the pyramids, I'll go to London to also wear Hanfu, and I'll continue to talk about popping Chinese trends.
And we're definitely going to keep an eye on that, and I'm going to like and comment on all of your posts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been great working with you, Lucy, and thank you so much for building China Podcast here with us. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And let me just do my last sign off with China Podcast. So guys, that was the China Podcast, where we unpack social and culture trends evolving in China and maybe influencing the world.
And please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let us know what you think and what you're curious about in contemporary China. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.